Good afternoon to you and welcome to another exciting edition of your program, our program Health Watch, right here on News Boston. My name is Olayinka Olatunji, welcoming you on board because today we have a whole lot of things to talk about and a whole lot of things to diverge into. Our society is gradually going down the drain when you talk about youths. The way they feel their health matters is no longer a thing to consider for them. A whole lot of people believe that living a life the way it comes should be the way they should live their life every day. A whole lot of people don't even do medical checkups anymore. They just want to live life as it comes by the day. But on Health Watch, we believe that health is wealth, and whatever way you want or whichever way you want to live your life, maybe you want to be 100 years and more, you have to watch your health. On Health Watch today, I have a guest in the studio who will be talking about depression. Depression, you would agree with me, is taking its seat right here in our society, especially in Nigeria, as we are ranking a particular position in the number of people who commit suicide on daily basis. This is what we want to eradicate from our today's society. Without talking much about this, let me unveil my guest. He would talk about, he will tell us his name and tell us how far he has been and, let's get to know him. So it is good to have you in the studio this afternoon.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so your name and let's meet you.
Okay, my name is Abdullahi Ikole Abu Hanifa, the CEO of the Criterion Medical Home. I'm a naturopathy doctor and I deal with health issues by using natural medicines and herbs.
A naturopathic, or maybe I didn't get that right.
Naturopathy doctor.
Because I've actually been struggling with the pronunciation. Okay, a naturopathic. Are you like a medical doctor?
Medical doctors make use of synthetic and orthodox medications to take care of health issues. But as a naturopath, I make use of herbs, roots, leaves, fruits, and seeds to take care of health conditions and issues and diseases.
Okay, so did you actually, is this thing like a talent bestowed upon you, or did you study it? Maybe you went to a particular school to gain more knowledge about it, or maybe you're like a Babalawo son.
Okay, just like any field of profession which anyone which to dwells in, so it's a course which I undergo the course, and it's a course of study. Even though in Nigeria it's not yet approved in the universities, but there are diploma courses, and there are some institutions, some private institutions that teach people on natural medicine, and this is part of the institution which I went to.
And in fact, I must say that I am delighted to have you in the studio because you're a big fish. Now, talking about depression this afternoon, because one of the health issues that we have right now, bordering on the cases of health in Nigeria, is depression.
Yeah.
What is depression?
Okay, depression is a mental condition that it's been triggered. Let me say it's characterized by having mood swing, being unhappy, having this feeling of gray, or feeling of as if one is not part of society. Just when you don't feel normal with yourself, you don't feel as if you are part of the world in which you live, then depression is said to have happened.
So when you have a particular way of feeling that is different from the way other people feel, the way other people think, that is depression.
Yes and no. In the case that I might think quite different from the way people think, and it might not be an issue. I might quite be, we have some, like I might be realistic, someone might be some idealist, so that's not an issue. But depression is said to have set in when you are behaving in some manners, either inwardly or outwardly, and those manners like, you are not happy with yourself, you're not happy with your condition, you're not happy with the situation you find yourself, you are not the real self that you are meant to be, you are reacting or overreacting, you are having mood swings, so these are like maybe you're having a condition and you are not just feeling comfortable. It has to do with feeling not be feeling comfortable with oneself, feeling frustrated, feeling as if one is isolated, feeling as if you're out of the world.
Out of the world. Is depression a mental state of health?
Yes, it's a mental state of health because it's being triggered by some imbalance in some hormones. There are some hormones, and hormones are some chemical messengers that triggers changes in the body. So when some of these hormones, there are some hormones that has to do with the mental health, like the cortisol hormone, like the endorphin hormone, like the testosterone hormone, like the oxytocin, serotonin, and the likes. So some of these hormones, when there's an imbalance in these hormones, are you getting, like the cortisol hormone, which is the major stress hormone? The cortisol hormone is the stress hormone. So if the stress hormone is too high, normally, in our daily activity, we are stressed. We have mental stress, we have physical stress.
Definitely.
So it's normal to be stressed. But if the cortisol hormone, that is the stress hormone, if it's too high, then it can bring about reaction of depression. It can bring about feeling frustrated, feeling as if you just don't get yourself. So it's a mental state of health.
A mental state of health. Okay. What are the causes of depression?
Okay. There are so many causes of depression, and even in some cases there might be no cause that triggers it. So depression can be genetic. Yes, it can be.
That means it is hereditary.
Yes, not all in all cases, but it can be inherited. It can be genetically inherited, and some other causes of depression. Maybe someone has having health conditions like there's some health conditions like chronic health conditions like sickle cell anemia, like hepatitis, like HIV, like lupus, and those health conditions that if one is having it, it's just like, how am I gonna get
finished? Like I'm just
yes. So those health conditions that have like kidney, having CKD, that's chronic kidney disease, so these conditions can triggers depression. Also, there are some medications that brings about depression also. So some medications like morphines, like codeine, like opiums and the likes. So this can also cause depression. Any activity or any life activity that can bring about imbalance in oneself, like maybe if one is abused, like maybe sexually abused or physically abused, this can also cause depression. Like someone is being raped, so this will cause depression for the person. Any activity that can just cause an imbalance in the mental ability or in the mental health can lead to depression.
Wow, in case you just joined us, of course, we have a veteran, let me put it that way, a health veteran in the studio. And we are talking depression this beautiful afternoon on News Buster. And taking us forward on then talking depression, we would be looking at possible symptoms of depression, because sometimes people see people who are probably depressed as being crazy. Sometimes you're just frustrated. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Would you say that frustration and depression is like, are they married?
Okay. Frustration can lead to depression, and depression can also lead to frustration. So they work hand in hand. And the reason why I said this is that as I doing my explanation on the causes of depression, someone having a chronic health issue, like someone having sickle cell anemia as a case study, so that means the person is always in pain. Are you getting it? That means the person is always in pain, and if one is always in pain, the person will feel frustrated and like, what exactly is the value of being alive? What exactly is the what's my gain? What's my purpose of being alive? Are you getting it? So this will make the person to be frustrated. If the person is being maybe the person is being triggered, or maybe the person is being annoyed a little bit, then the person, due to the condition that the person is going through, then the person tries to overreact and it spits out towards more than what is expected of them. So among the visible symptoms of depression is frustration is part of it, wanting to be isolated out of the trying to stay alone, feeling as if you're not part of
inferiority complex
so much. So wanting to leave the majority and just being on your own, like I don't want to be with them. Especially if the depression is being triggered by maybe social factors, like in a condition of maybe you are being oppressed, maybe with wealth, someone that has maybe your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, so they are flexing out wealth, showing wealth, buying cars, buying luxuries, and you feel, why not me? Why am I not having this and the likes? So you just, if you're not able to control yourself, you just feel that you won't want to interact with them. You just want to feel, you want to be on your own, you want to isolate yourself. So these are part of those physical symptoms of depression.
Thank you very much. At what point should we be worried for a close associate or like a family member or a friend? At what point should we say we should be concerned? You know, should we be worried? Like, at what point? What are those things that we see in this person and be like, okay, I think we should be worried?
If one is having depression, you know, it's a mental state, as I said earlier. It's not something that usually has maybe physical symptoms, like maybe the person is having maybe, you know, it's
stomach pain, headache,
pain, or the likes. It's a mental state of health. So it's from the reaction of the person that you tend to know that this person is going through some underlying conditions. So when you start seeing someone behaving quite abnormal or trying to isolate themselves away from the society, or trying to, or maybe they are speaking and their words is not correlating, like this person is going through something. So
you know, some people actually talk to themselves like in a soliloquy manner. They tend to want to think aloud. Now, when you're talking about soliloquizing, is it another phase or is it like a symptom of depression?
Soliloquizing does not actually mean one is depressed. I might be happy and, you know, trying to speak aloud, like, okay, by next week I'll do this, I'll do that. It's soliloquizing, but it doesn't mean I'm depressed. I'm happy, but I'm trying to speak aloud to make myself more happy. So, but it depends on the content of what the person is speaking out. That you tend to like this person is going through depression. I get it, and the physical appearance of the person. So when you see someone and they are weeping, they are crying, what's going on? What happens? Like, you can't understand.
Or someone who goes to price a 2 million naira car for 200,000.
Yes, such person can be, maybe the person is oppressed. So like, I also want to have something like this. I also want to fit in with the society.
Can't we then say oppression is like one of the factors of depression?
Yes, a big yes. Oppression, especially in this our society of ours in Nigeria as a case study. So oppression is a big factor behind depression. Look at in case of case study of youth, you see guys of 15, 16, 20, 21 years trying to, you know, go to any length to get money. You're like, what exactly does this one want to do with money? So then you see that if you try to ask the person question like, my friends are also doing this, my colleague he has this, my colleague he has that. That means the person is being oppressed. The person is feeling oppressed. He might not be oppressed, but he's feeling oppressed. Like this person is trying to torment me with this thing he has. I will also show that I also have the capacity to get what he has. So they can go to any length to get it. And if they are able to get what they want, then they tend to be depressed. Because they're not getting what they want. So oppression is part of, like on the social media, on the TVs, on the the social media generally. So you see our celebrities, they flex their wealth, they show their wealth. They're like, I have 30 billions, I have this little car.
I built a house, a house what? Like this cross-dresser, Bobrisky, you know,
exactly.
In the course of last week, had a house warming of 400 million. Like,
so you see, exactly. In a condition like in a country like Nigeria, where even to have 3 square meal is very difficult for close to 70% of the population of Nigeria. So someone now coming on social media flexing a wealth of like 400 million naira, like they might feel like I have it's mine. So are you telling me not to flex my wealth? It belongs to me. Yes, it belongs to them, and they have the autonomy to, you know, to display their wealth any way they like. But trying to understand the fact that this country is not balanced. Even the world itself is not balanced. The world itself is not balanced. So you having money, building a house of just 400-500 million, even some billions, and coming out to show it, and someone that hasn't eaten for like maybe just twice a day, or maybe so now coming to social media or on TV and seeing someone flexing work like that, they're like, but at least
you begin to question yourself.
Economy together. So how are these people making it? I get it. And some of the songs we listen to, so they call to, like anyway, anyhow, just make sure that you get wealthy, any way na way. I get it, any way na way, so that is just make sure that you just make it out of the side. And so Kemi Shatilowo, I get it. So someone saying that Kemi Shatilowo any way na way, so that means you can go to any length to get the money. And if you're not able to get it through those means, then you feel depressed. You see youth committing suicide. Like, why? What exactly is the condition? Why is this guy? What's the reason behind the suicide? And
thank you very much. Sometimes, like what you're saying, some of our youths nowadays will be like, "Go shefa wano, cut soap for me." Like, Oshe biza lengwe, account meeting wo biza. This one is one is osu, ilu awon su, they broke card, slangs like that, and you also want to broke card. You also want to ride big cars. You also want to, travel out and have a tour. And what are the types of, are there types of depression? Maybe primary type of depression, secondary type, until it metamorphosed maybe into the tertiary type, where the person now feel, let me just end it all.
Regarding the types of suicide, this depends on what is the underlying factor that triggers it. There are some depression that's like maybe just like primary, or let me say acute depression. So maybe it's just because, let's have it at the back of our mind that each and every one of us, we are prone to have depression at a particular point in time. It can't always be rosy.
Definitely.
It can't always be rosy. At a particular point in time, you just feel, you won't feel comfortable with yourself. You won't feel happy with the situation of things. It's normal.
Like people say that kosiba sheleme. See, Oreo you can't have it all.
You can't have it
at
all.
A point in time, it's burning you underneath your clothes,
you want you're able to get it.
Even with money.
Yes, even having the money, you might have the money, but in case of someone having some chronic health conditions, chronic health issues, and the person have been given like ultimatum that with this health condition you have just 5 years to use. There is a case study of one of the celebrities, one of the actors that has lupus, and the person has been given like, we have 5 years ultimatum to use. So someone like that, yes, there's the money, there's the money, there's the fame is there, the money is there, the luxuries are there, but due to such condition, the person will be depressed. I get it. So there's some acute, where you went by it, like there's some acute causes of depression, and this can be controlled. Let's say maybe what causes the depression is because maybe you've not eating, maybe you've not getting.
So once you eat,
so you feel better, you feel like God will make it today. So tomorrow then we know what happens tomorrow. So
that is not a case of depression. That is a case of gluttony. No,
it doesn't. Not everyone that is hungry is maybe being glutinous or the likes. It might be that maybe I may not have the means, I may not have the financial capacity, maybe I work and I'm not able to get something, maybe I sell things on the streets, and maybe
but once such a person eats,
it's depression, as I said earlier, is any mental condition that puts you in a state of sadness, in a state of feeling as if what's going on.
So when you get that with your heart desires.
Exactly. So you get better, you get relieved. Like someone being depressed due to the fact that maybe they are not having money, right? So then by virtue of circumstance, maybe the person is fortunate and by God's grace the person gets
transfer.
So the person feels happy, the person feels lively. But in the case of chronic depression, so this is usually triggered by chronic health conditions, chronic underlying factors that don't have they don't have certain time to end, and these are mostly maybe due to maybe health condition. Maybe person has some underlying health condition, or some brain hormones are not balanced and it's genetic, so it might be difficult to control, and the person will just it's like it doesn't have when exactly to end. So this is what can metamorphose into having the thought of committing suicide. Like, when exactly is this gonna end? When exactly am I gonna be free from this?
Like in the case of a particular young man, I think sometimes last week in Abuja. He was rather a photographer who even has a photographic studio where he takes people, and he wrote a suicidal note just beside him before taking his own life. He says, according to the notes, that he's a failure. There are certain things that he feels he should have, been able to meet up with or achieve in life, which are not possible. And he apologized to his loved ones, family members and all, for disappointing him. But he says he has found peace. Okay. Now, would you say that ending it in a suicidal, manner would give you that ultimate thirst, to kill depression? Killing oneself, is it like a solution to depression?
Wow, that's a great one. Committing suicide it's very common to those going through depression, and it's absolutely not the solution to depression. It's absolutely not the solution to depression. Though they might feel that let's just end it here, let's end it all, and at least after this, to them, that's to their own belief, like after this it's over. It's not over. Committing suicide, depending on the situation you are, like the person you use as a case study, saying he's a failure maybe because he should have achieved more than he have achieved. This is part of life. Life is full of ups and downs. As in, everyone that has, every successful person out there have a story to tell. So you thinking that you just planned it and it works out the way you planned it, it's not part of that. Life is not structured like that. So life is full of making it, as in struggling, you fall, you struggle, you fall, you struggle, you fall, and you keep on pushing.
Life is not robotic.
It's not always rosy. Even if it's always rosy, then it won't be meaningful. What makes you to be happy as a successful person is maybe you've always been in a state of maybe poverty, you've been poverty stricken, and then later as you keep on striving and struggling and working, then you become successful, you appreciate success then. But someone wanting to just put in little efforts, or put in, no matter how much the effort you take, you've put in, you still meet people far above you that they've put much more effort than you, and they still keep on believing that yes, if it's not better today, it's better tomorrow.
Even our society is, I would say, our society does not even encourage sometimes, because sometimes people will say that iṣẹ́ kékeré, owó púpọ̀. Other people would also say kí n ṣiṣẹ́ bí, mo ń ṣiṣẹ́ bí, mo ń jèjè, like I'm working, look at what I'm getting. Well, some people will tell you that I don't even want to work much and I want to see big money. The same society that is giving you the back and forth of such adages is the same society that will come and question you. What do you feel that the government, especially we're taking Nigeria as a case study, is doing, to eradicate this problem of depression in our society?
Okay, as a human being and as a Nigerian, I think what's much more important to each and every one of us is to understand the way life works. If you understand the way life works, so some adages might be quite confusing, and so you just have to understand that what's the reality. Just understand that, is this how, it's a wish, like it's a wish, you wish it, everyone wishes it. Like Kiko, she said, yeah, like, I want to spend most of my time just relaxing, being on my couch, like, being on the beach in Miami, go to Dubai, just have holidays, go on tours and just flex around the world. And so, yes, this is what we wish, but it can't be like this for every one of us. It's just the reality of life. We can't get all what we want. So one just have to understand the fact that being alive alone is a success on its own. So you just have to understand, how do I manage myself here on earth?
So what can the government do to help, improve the well-being of citizens?
The governments, they have their own roles to play in case of welfareism for the members and the members of the community. That's for each and every one of us. And the advice which we'll be having for them is to each and every one of us have one or two things we are doing which will feel like, okay, this is the source I want to make my world from. Like I personally, like I make use of natural medicine to take care of issues like depressing. Some shoots, make videos and the likes. So the government can assist, trades and skills, try to lift, put some orientation programs, developmental, and try to assist each and every one of us to get better. And because if you're better at what you do and you give the society what they want, you're gonna it's quite easy to make it just as it is quite easy to remain poor. It's easy to make it just as it is easy to remain poor. If you know your cake, you eat it, you have it. Because someone that's you have a skill that you're practicing and you are very good at it, you are emotional with, as in you are very passionate with it, and you give to society what they demand from you. So if you are good, they will always come to you, and with that. But most of what I think is the problem with that is that we are looking forward to someone like this person. I just have to meet up with him. Like if you just want to if this is what exactly is doing,
far away,
exactly. I think that's the major of the problem. Because like the person said just hearing, so at least I believe is seeing something to eat, right? He has an accommodation, he has something to eat, perhaps he has a family, perhaps he has a child. But maybe he's looking up to someone like, I also want to make it like this person. And life is not like that. We can't always, I do say the word that if everyone is wealthy, if everyone is rich, this life won't be easy to live in. Imagine if everyone is as rich as Dangote. Imagine everyone is as rich as Bill Gates.
But imagine why can't we all?
I will tell you why we can't be all. Imagine if all of us are like that. I want to build a house. I need the bricklayer, right? If the bricklayer is as wealthy as me, if the plumber is as wealthy as me, as in the caliber of Dangote itself, I get it. The people carrying the debts on the roads and the lights, if they are as wealthy as Dangote, who do you think will do those things?
Well,
it's a reality of life.
Well, in a nutshell, you are trying to say that life is give and take.
That is give and
more
take.
Of a trade and barter kind of way of living.
Yes.
Now,
exactly.
Talking about depression and medication, are there medication for depressed personalities, or is it that they just always have to talk to a counselor, go to a rehab, or what? Or go to some people even, do igbele. There's this thing that Yoruba call igbele in the church, or maybe in maybe a religious setting. You just lock the person up. You keep praying and feeling that prayer answers, and it does all things. Is it? Would you advise igbele? What are possible medications?
Firstly, to combat and to manage depression, there are many techniques, many ways to manage it, and part of it is meeting with a counselor and speaking out your mind. Most people having depression, most of the issue they have is that they don't really have someone to, or they don't, they are not able
to voice
out. And even if they are able to voice out, perhaps the person they are voicing out to is not giving them the right response which they demand. It's not giving them the right attention they demand. Because I believe before someone can take the move to commit suicide to end the game,
they must have attempted talking to somebody.
Suicide can't be the first option. It can never be the first option. They would have attempted some techniques like trying to, but some people might feel I don't want to speak myself out. I don't want them to see me as a weak person. I don't want them to see me as but some would have in one point of their life meet up with some people to speak with them, but maybe especially our society whereby each person like as in do your own, I do my own. So like we don't even have, even a wife can be depressed
and the husband will not know.
The husband can be depressed and the wife will not know. They are living together, being on the bed together, always seeing each other, but due to the fact that they are much more concerned with some things and they just abandon their mental health. So the advice is that anyone having this feeling of depression and not being happy, and the person is not able to control it. because it can be controlled.
Yes, yes,
because you can control yourself. You can like
with medication.
Even without, there are some cases that you don't even need medication.
But what are those medications?
We get there. We get there. Before getting to the medication, the person, because if we are to just talk about the medication, it might be something that you have to be taking.
Like you have to face your life like on a routine drug.
Yes, on a routine drug, and that's not the solution. So I think the first solution should be to meet up with a counselor, to meet up with someone
and get pep talks.
Yes, to speak out your mind and let the person give you the proper orientation and tell you how life works. Perhaps the person does not have enough experience about life works, and the person's expectation is just too high, and the person is expecting too much from life. So meeting up with a counselor, with a professional counselor, will assist. So I think the government can help us to have counseling, we can have counseling,
like organizations or outlets.
Yes, for counselors.
Offices.
We need it a lot in our society, especially in this current situation of the country. So we need counselors or professional counselors that are ready to listen. Not just talk. I get busy. I mean, people that are ready to listen and provide solution. Because words, there's power in words. There is power in words. There are words that you speak to someone, and their orientation, their thinking will change drastically. So the person needs counseling session, rehabilitation session. Then, if that's not working, then the person can perhaps be placed on some kind of antidepressant. If it's in the orthodox way, they are aggressive with antidepressants, and they use it to balance the hormone, to reduce the cortisol hormone, which is the stress hormone, and so to trigger or to boost the endorphin hormone, which is the feel good hormone. Endorphin hormone has to do with feeling good, and so that's what the antidepressant medications will do. And if the depression of the person is being triggered by usage of medication, maybe like someone having hypertension, so the person is on medication, those medications too, some medications that are used to manage hypertension can also trigger depression, like medication having alpha blockers. It's what we call alpha blockers, which is one of the ingredients that is used in some medication, not all medications, to combat or to control hypertension. So if that's the cause of the person's hypertension, so the person can depression, so the person can be advised by a medical expert to change their routine drugs or to something else, or just I believe in modifying one's lifestyle habits. So then, in terms of using natural herbs, yes, there are herbs that help to manage mental stress, that helps to manage depression, like Mucuna pruriens as a case study. Mucuna, that's velvet beans, which you might call wiripe. So the seed that's the bean eats. So the one that catches on, that's the pod. That's the pod. It's a bean. It's a bean. So it's the pod that catches. So the bean in it, so it's called Mucuna pruriens, that's wiripe. So these, there are so many research work on these, and it has the ability to, trigger the body to produce much endorphin hormone and balance the cortisol hormone, which is the stress hormone. And so this is very good for depression, very, very good and perfect for depression. So we use these, also like fenugreek is also very good in this aspect, and also Manegueta, that is alligator pepper. Tobacco is atari. So this is also very good to balance the cortisol hormone and trigger the production of endorphin hormone, which helps to balance the depression. There are also many medications, but these are just the few I can mention.
When we're talking medication, or let me say when we're talking medically now, you people tend to want to take us to another world, and I'm like, okay, endorphin. This one now, I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to, like, you understand, the names are so
let me make it simple like this. When we talk of hormones, all activities that happens, like me looking
within the human system,
within the human system, has to do with hormones. So there are chemical messengers that bring about changes in the body. I get it.
Now breaking
so
it
we
down.
have different types of hormones.